Hello OCFS and welcome to the special edition of News Update. As everyone has probably now already heard, New York State did just announce a new retirement incentive that will be available for certain segments of our state workforce. This includes some OCFS employees. Now, this has been discussed for quite a while now. We finally do have some details to share with everyone. In fact, OCFS Executive Deputy Commissioner Bill Getman joins us now to talk about this exciting news and to explain who is eligible for the incentive. Bill, thanks a lot for joining us today. First of all, can you start out by telling us what specifically was announced by the governor's office, what it means in terms of workforce reduction?
Hello there, Trish. I'm very happy to be here to talk about the governor's voluntary severance program. He announced it yesterday in conjunction with the governor's Office of Employee Relations and the State Division of the Budget. The program is designed in response to the critical fiscal situation facing all of New York, and it's an attempt to provide an incentive to employees to leave the payroll with a cash payment in a way that's sensitive to the workforce needs of our agency and also sensitive to the needs of employees to do some planning. So it's a partnership between the governor, the labor unions, and all the agencies.
Now, Bill, who is eligible for the incentive?
Who is eligible? It's full-time employees who've been full-time status for 10 years or are eligible to retire, who are members of the Civil Service Employees Association, CSEA, Public Employee Federation, PEF, or MC employees. Again, it's 10 years of full-time service or eligible to retire. That's kind of the first category. The second category is the employees need to be funded from the general fund. That means state funding is paying for their salary and benefits.
So how can an employee who thinks they are eligible for this actually go about applying?
Okay. The good news is we're going to give clear guidance and definition about who can apply and how fast and what the rules are. The other part of it is it's going to happen very quickly. Here we are in late part of July, and we're going to have decisions back to employees by the 28th of August. Wow. And I think we're going to have a slide up there with the exact time frames. But let me walk through them. The first thing we want everyone to do is to start thinking about whether they're interested. Again, you have to be a member of PEF, CSEA, or an MC employee. You have to be on the payroll for 10 years or retirement eligible. The process allows for a $20,000 one-time payment. That's $20,000 check, and the employee has to be off the payroll by November 11th of this year. So those are some of the facts to consider. The other part of the fact pattern to consider is what are the rules for it. And again, I think the employees need to understand that they have to leave by the 11th of November, and they can't come back for 5 years. If they do come back for 5 years, then they'll have to repay the $20,000.
So those are some of the interesting caveats, because usually you always have those when there's any sort of incentive like that. So, Bill, what are the criteria for this? Okay,
the first thing we'll do is we'll look at each application. Do you plan on retiring by November 11th? That's a given. If yes, then we'll say, have you been on the payroll for 10 years or eligible for retirement? At that point, then, because the items will not be automatically refilled, in fact, any item that's eligible to participate or any position that's selected under this program cannot be refilled by the agency. So we will have to assess each of the requests based on the operational need and the location of the individual in terms of the workload. For fiscal purposes, obviously, it doesn't make sense for us to approve someone taking the separation program and then have to replace them with overtime. Yeah. That's not good fiscal sense here for us in New York State. So we will judge each position individually against the operational need of the office, the unit, or the division for which they work. And again, I want to note that federal positions are not eligible for the program as it's currently defined.
Okay. What are some of the other caveats? Or here's another question, Bill. How is someone going to know if their application for retirement is actually accepted?
Okay, let's go through the process. What we're asking all the OCFS employees to do is to start planning, thinking about what their interests may be. We're sending them an email and putting a notice up today that asks them to send back kind of an informal expression of interest, we're calling it. Okay. The EOI, Expression of Interest form. And that's just going to help us plan here at OCFS. There's no commitment. They can change their mind. It's just a sense from employees, yes, I'm interested in finding out more. After we get that, we will work internally, and employees will have a chance between August 7th and August 14th to do the formal application in the formal notice. And it's important to stress that that process requires them to file and sign a form that's irrevocable. So that's the key decision period, the irrevocable submission of their form. And that's during the period August 7th through the 14th.
Okay.
The agency then will compile all those requests, put together our final plan, and submit it to the Division of the Budget on the 21st of August. On the 28th of August, 1 week later, we will have formal announcements for all the employees who applied, telling them as to the status. And again, we want to encourage employees to think hard about this and to consider the benefits of it. It's an important way to reduce our payroll in a sensible, thoughtful way.
And again, just to get back to those caveats, Bill, what would you sort of make employees aware of as they're thinking about this?
Again, I think once they leave the payroll, and again, that has to happen by the 11th of November. There's no flexibility in that. They have to be off the New York State payroll for 5 years. You can't leave the payroll thinking that you're going to come back to another agency or something like that. That's going to be against the rules. You'll have to repay that.
So, Bill, I guess can you sort of sum this up for us? Do you think this is a good thing for our state workforce and for OCFS?
I think this is, again, a good example of the governor working with the labor unions and the employees of all the agencies to come up with a thoughtful plan to meet our critical fiscal deficit. It allows employees to make their decisions with their families and with their spouses and their partners. Also, it allows the agency to plan thoughtfully. Again, it's going to happen quick. From now to the end of August, this process will all play out and be implemented, and staff will be off the payroll by no later than November 11th. And again, it comes with a $20,000 check, and that can be paid out over 2 calendar years.
Well, it is a exciting incentive. I know a lot of people are interested. We just wanted to make everyone aware that there is a number you can call. You're seeing that on your screen now. That is for OCFS Human Resources. Those folks are going to be able to answer questions for you as well. Well, this is certainly good news for our colleagues who are eligible and who are looking to begin their retirement after all their years of service to New York's children and families. We certainly appreciate the work everyone has done and that everyone continues to do for OCFS. Our thanks today to Executive Deputy Commissioner Bill Getman for taking some time to address staff on this important news. We will be back soon, by the way, with more news from OCFS and around our state. Until then, do keep up the great work, OCFS.